What if I told you the most trusted man on Wall Street, the former NASDAQ chairman, the man with the perfect business card, office, and signature, was running the largest Ponzi scheme in history, right in the heart of the United States? This isn't a movie. This is not a rumor. This is the real story of Bernie Madoff and the financial deception that destroyed thousands of lives. Welcome back to Deception Reports. On this channel, we expose real financial crimes, real deception, and the real stories the system tried to bury. Today's case study is one of the most shocking investment scandals in American history. The Bernie Madoff Ponzi scheme, and you'll want to stay till the end, because what happened to Bernie Madoff's sons, his family, and his victims is more disturbing than you think. Now, Bernard L. Madoff was not some nobody operating from a basement. He was a respected Wall Street insider. He was the former chairman of the NASDAQ stock market. He was the founder of Bernie Madoff Investment Securities, based right in New York City. If you saw a picture of Bernie Madoff from those days, with his expensive suits, his calm smile, his powerful posture, you would never suspect you were looking at a criminal. His office, his business card, even his signature, just screamed credibility. People trusted him blindly. They lined up to give him their money. So, let's break this down clearly. What exactly is a Ponzi scheme? Simply put, a Ponzi scheme is an illegal investment scam. New investors' money is used to pay off the old investors. There are no real profits, no real investments being made. It's just a constant cycle of taking money from Peter to pay Paul. Bernie Madoff promised steady, consistent returns, year after year, even when the market was crashing. That, right there, was the first huge red flag. There was no real trading strategy he could point to. There was no transparency. There was no independent verification of his returns. Yet, billions of dollars kept flowing in. This is why people are still constantly searching online for things like, how do Ponzi schemes work? Explain a Ponzi scheme? And is a Ponzi scheme illegal? And the answer is yes. They are very illegal. And Bernie Madoff perfected the art of it. The list of his victims is heartbreaking. It included retirees who lost their entire life savings. It included pension funds for hardworking people. It included major charities, religious organizations, and community groups all across the country. And yes, even Hollywood was hit hard. A lot of people still ask, how much money did Kevin Bacon lose to Bernie Madoff? Well, Kevin Bacon and his wife Kyra Sedgwick reportedly lost tens of millions of dollars through funds that were exposed to Madoff's scheme. Even today, this question trends on Reddit and Google. This scandal was so massive it inspired a Bernie Madoff movie starring Richard Dreyfuss, multiple documentaries, and even a TV series. People still search for the Bernie Madoff series or the Bernie Madoff show. There were even reports that Robert De Niro was in talks to play Bernie Madoff, which just shows how deeply this story entered American pop culture. Yet, the real story is far darker than any film could ever capture. In 2008, during the global financial crisis, the house of cards came tumbling down. The economy was in a freefall, and investors started asking for their money back, but the money wasn't there. Bernie Madoff couldn't keep paying his old investors with new money because new money had dried up. He finally confessed, but not to the authorities. He confessed to his sons. It was his sons who, in a moment of shock and horror, reported their own father to the FBI. Soon, the world saw the infamous Bernie Madoff mugshot. Online searches for Bernie Madoff arrest, prison Bernie Madoff, and Bernie Madoff sentencing just exploded. In 2009, Bernie Madoff was sentenced to 150 years in federal prison, the maximum possible sentence. The charges against him included wire fraud, securities fraud, money laundering, and perjury. It officially became the largest Ponzi scheme in history, with the total fraud estimated at a staggering $65 billion. People still wonder about him, asking, is Bernie Madoff still in prison? Or did Bernie Madoff die in prison? And the answer is yes. Bernie Madoff died in a federal prison in 2021. But the story doesn't end there. And this is perhaps the most tragic part of the whole saga. Bernie Madoff's sons paid an unbelievably heavy price for a crime they didn't commit. Their names were forever tied to their fathers. Mark Madoff tragically died by suicide in 2010, on the second anniversary of his father's arrest. His brother, Andrew Madoff, died in 2014, after a long battle with cancer. A battle he claimed was made worse by the stress of the scandal. Searches like Bernie Madoff's son's death and what happened to Bernie Madoff's sons still trend today. Their net worth was destroyed. But more than that, their lives were completely ruined by association. And what about his wife? People often ask, is Bernie Madoff's wife still alive? And what happened to Ruth Madoff? Ruth Madoff was never charged with any crime, but she lost almost everything. The government seized her assets, leaving her with a fraction of her former wealth. Once living a life of unimaginable luxury, she now lives a quiet life, far away from the public spotlight. Some people try to compare the Madoff case to other financial scandals, like Enron, or other famous Ponzi schemes, like the Scott Rothstein case. But Madoff's scheme stands alone. No other case in history matches this scale of betrayal and financial devastation. It's a textbook example of what to watch out for. The classic signs of a Ponzi scheme were all there. Guaranteed high returns, consistent profits no matter what the market was doing, a secretive or overly complex strategy, and a total lack of third-party audits or transparency. This is why people search for the difference between a Ponzi scheme and a pyramid scheme, or look for examples of Ponzi schemes. They're trying to understand how to protect themselves. Bernie Madoff didn't just steal money, he stole trust. He completely shattered the faith that people had in the financial system. He proved that even in the United States, with all its regulators, watchdogs, and laws, a massive financial lie can survive and thrive for decades, right under everyone's noses. And that is exactly why deception reports exists. We're here to remind you, if something looks too perfect, too good to be true, it almost always is. If you want to hear more real stories like this, with real crimes, real deception, and real consequences, make sure you subscribe to Deception Reports, because the truth is always more disturbing and more important than fiction. Thanks for watching.